Oh, hey, you guys. Chest Rockwell, the glorious dear leader of BDA. While this faux hawk don't style itself because y'all mother effers are here, you might as well listen for a bit. The loot vending machine is broken. We kicked that mother effer in and robbed all the Mountain Dews and Snickers. You want Class R loot? You go the F through me, got it? To all you degenerates who split off from my guild, you're dead to me. Vegetables? You know you could have come back. Coca-Cola? You know what's squishy? You're squishy because you're dead and rotting. I'll leave you with one final thought. Thanks, TMO. You'll be hearing from me again. Now get the F out of here, y'all. Check out the website, www.bregandair.net. That's BREGANDAERTH.net. I'm about to get me some dinner and walk the dogs. AFK.
Oh god. Happy Monday, guys. I'm Sirken. It's Monday. It's 10 o'clock. I'm glad you're all here. And you know who else might not be as glad to be here? This is the part where I struggle with Skype and try to found them. Hi guys.
Hey, Sirken.
You're all off hold. We're back. We're gonna start with the super awesome special guests tonight. We got two guys from BDA. We'll start with Anichek. Sir, say hello. Tell these people who you are in case they've never heard of you or BDA or any of the things.
Hello, everybody. I'm Anichek. I'm pretty boring. I live in Minnesota, so I'm watching hockey and barely paying attention to this. And I've been on the server for about 4 years. I'm an officer in BDA.
That's good. How's the hockey going?
We're up 2-0. So one more goal, and I can just pay attention to the stream then.
I feel like you're close enough to Canada to where I understand. Troubledour.
Hey, I'm Troubledour in BDA on blue, and I'm an officer. And I'm Rudith on red in Empire, which is a small, tight-knit Christian family guild. I recommend you check it out.
A+. And I guess I'll have fuck it. Trouble. If people are interested in this so-called Empire Guild, where can they get information on that?
You can go to empirer99.com. It lists our requirements. It's pretty basic right now, but we also have a list of streams for people that stream Red 99.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to get a hold of anybody in Empire that can maybe get a message to an officer if you do stream Red 99, they'll add it to our website.
That's A+. And Anichek, go ahead and for BDA people that play on blue, where can they find more information about that guild?
www.bregandearth.net. You'll spell it wrong, so just check out our guild post on the P99 forums. Probably the best way to get a hold of us.
Or wait a few hours, go to youtube.com/SirkenP99, watch this video, and have the man in the shower spell it for you, and just type in the letters he tells you to type in.
Yeah, whoever did that, that's pretty fantastic.
Whoever did that gets so many Sirken points. One day you'll be able to cash those in for things. But you know what? I'm being rude. We have other people. Knix.
Hello.
Hi, Knix.
Hi, I'm Knix of TMO. You guys pretty much know me if you have been here.
They don't. Most of them suffered traumatic head injuries over the weekend and don't remember shit.
I play a cleric and Knix, who is a druid in TMO.
Mm-hmm. And which one of those would you say is your main character? Or is it too soon?
I've been flipping back and forth a little bit. I think I'll probably stay with Knix because it's like druids are easy. Sorry.
You mean when they removed Donald's?
Yeah, you're taking away my
It's
toys.
no longer easy.
I'm not taking away anything. I'm not a dev. So
Yeah, and druid tracking will eventually get better.
again, the Hillbog turf, Haynar turf, Canvas turf.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? All of them. I'd even blame that on Talon and Alanova and any devs that I'm forgetting. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, and I'm not an officer of TMO, and so all of my views are just from me as a player.
That's okay. I'm still going to blame TMO for everything you say here this evening.
Oh my god.
Sounds fair.
That
Someone
sounds
wants to
fair.
know what server you play next.
What server? I'm from Quellius. My druid was my main on Quellius.
I think, really? Did they mean
Yeah.
live? Because I thought they
Yeah.
meant blue or red.
No, they meant live.
Oh man, I'm so glad I didn't just interrupt and make fun of you. Because I would have felt dumb as shit. Uberbandit!
Yeah.
Hi!
Ah,
How you doing?
I'm doing all right.
It's good to have you here.
I'm very glad to be a part of you and the chat.
I'm terrified that you're a part of me.
I was thinking
gonna-
that.
Do you happen to stream at Uberbandit22? No, you don't. Twitch.tv/Uberbandit22?
That's the right order, and theoretically, yes.
Although, if you could stream at Uberbandit22.twitch.tv/ whatever was going to come out of my mouth.
Sounds right.
Yeah, I would follow you on both of those streams. Oh, sorry, I got distracted by a Valen Zek all day. Oh, we're just gonna jump right into red because you know what? We chit-chatted for like 30 seconds about it before we started, and it got me all giddy inside. And now I see people shouting VZ all day, and we're just gonna ignore the RZ stuff because those nerds are scrubs. But let's talk red for a minute. How's red doing? Or no, since we're talking red, I'm gonna call you Rudith. Oh, I'm gonna help you develop a multiple personality disorder. That's my goal for tonight. So, Rudith, how do you enjoy playing on red server? How long have you been on red server?
I started red, I think the weekend that you guys took down blue server to force people over to beta.
Thanks for doing the beta and not just going over to red.
I did go over to the beta.
Uh-huh.
When my guild wasn't doing anything over there, I was playing on red, and I got hooked.
You know, I've beta tested on a player account with no GM help, and I don't even have a fucking guild, so I don't feel like anybody has an excuse not to beta test.
I think it's a perfectly valid excuse.
I think you're the worst. It's that red server mentality.
But I've been having a lot of fun on it. The PvP is I'm a cleric, so I do a lot of running away.
Sorry.
I'm gonna say your PvP is pretty much capped out. Hoping that.
I try to, stay close to the zone line so I don't get murked a lot. But the mass PvP that I've experienced, we actually had Azrael come in tonight while we were in Fear, which thanks for coming in and having some fun with us. By the way, that was it's a lot of fun to do that sort of thing when we can get it to happen.
You mean you had a fight?
Yeah.
I think it means they had a fight that didn't end with drama and bullshit and crying and all the usual bullshit that accompanies said PvP disputes.
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of drama. Everybody said, good fight at the end of it, and people looted and scooted and got out.
Now, so for like large scale PvP like that, do y'all have a driver on TeamSpeak, or is it just kind of everyone does their own thing?
There's usually a driver or two, the guy that calls the targets.
Yeah.
If you're new to Red, I would try to get in a guild and ask your guild leader or officers or people that seem like they're in the know about PvP to help you, because they will probably be glad to do that, whatever guild you're in. They'll tell you what items you should carry, ways, methods to complete your cast if you have to run off from it, stuff like that. A lot of good tips. Only you can really seek out the knowledge that you need to survive on Red and have a lot of fun there.
I think a lot of people don't realize that there's a lot of differences between red and blue. Either because as a staff we've made certain items or mechanics different, or I guess an example would be how recharging works on red versus blue, or how
Crouch canceling.
absolutely priceless. Oh yeah, duck cancel spells, but also how absolutely pricelessly important certain clickies and resist items are that people just don't give shits about on the blue server because they don't need to. And safety in numbers. Like, that's another thing. People that come over from blue by themselves to try it out. That's cool, I guess, in the beginning. But I imagine once you get up into, like, your 35 plus through 50 range, like, life's going to be real hard if you haven't been making friends and finding people that you can play with, people that will keep you alive when rogues pop up out of nowhere.
If you're in the lower levels like that, I think a good guild to try out would be Fresh and see how you like it. I think Azrael and Friends, that's two main guilds on the server. They're more high end, but Fresh would be probably a good guild to level up with.
I see. I know there's a newer guild called the Curse.
Yeah,
because...
the Curse. There's another one that's working their way up
yeah.
too.
I had Elemental trying to get me create that for him one night when I was streaming, and people just don't realize, like, I am not GM Sirken right now. I'm just some asshole. I'm not doing CSR work right now. But his guild did get made, and it's still up, which means it's growing and it's not inactive. And I don't know, what do you think? Is it here to stay? Is it just going to be a fly-by-night thing? How do you feel about it? How do you feel about the Curse?
I seem to be gaining some traction.
Yeah?
I'm glad for that. Contrary to popular belief, Empire does not get every single mob. We get some contention. Ragefire, Fatedar, Track, Sev. People are really starting to.
When you say you get contention, do you just mean like they go to a lower priority target and get it while you guys are still dealing with the high priority targets? Because I wouldn't call
lost
that
a couple
competition
for sure.
I since November I've been spending a lot of time on Red, and one thing that I noticed and verified in the first few months is that it's really easy to get pixels in your guild. You pretty much just show up and get them. I never thought I'd say it, but I think blue is more competitive than red. Do you have anything for that? Because if not, I'm just agreeing with myself.
I don't know. In my experience, say the last repop, I think it was, maybe the one before that, we have to split forces sometimes when there's a repop, and when we do that, some of the guild goes to VP, another portion of the guild went to Fatedar, and they had a PvP battle with Fresh, who ended up taking the mob, and Hello got pushed out of the zone.
Well, I will say that as much as it sucks to get pushed out of a zone, it does make you hungrier. It lights that fire under your ass that I just feel a lot of your guild hasn't had lit under their ass for quite a while. And it's nothing against your guild. I mean, I was one of the people that adamantly fought in public to that the name was not a shot at Jews, and that it was, the word just kind of means the removal of a people from existence. And that can be wood elves or erudites or other guild tags. It can be anything. But
so you're saying
maybe someone ties
Holocaust
that together with a defensive screenshot in game.
Well, yeah, once you start using it in that context, then I have no choice.
Yeah.
I mean, if people would have been smart enough to just not make a goddamn swastika, it would have been fine.
Like, you're asking a lot.
Yeah, that's quite a bit there, Sirken.
I mean, I know I'm setting the bar real fucking high there. But come on. That's not funny or family appropriate on any level.
Elmar says you can't AoE mobs on red, and I've heard that you can now.
We actually did a Chardock AoE last weekend, I think. It took more people, and it took bards, more clerics, but it was done.
Man. I know how to break AE groups. I know how to break them, and you nerds would never know what we did.
What, do you just put somebody in there that can't play?
We were having a GM meeting the other day, and I was bitching and complaining about AE groups, and Nobog was just like, well, blah, 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 blah. And it was just so perfect and golden and wonderful. And it's not classic, but it's so beautiful.
Couldn't you just do what you did in Skyfire?
I have no idea what they did in Skyfire, to be honest.
They made some mobs unstunnable, I believe.
Oh, yeah, but then you guys would know what we did. If things started resisting stuns, you'd be like, oh, well, these can resist stuns now. No, this was good. This was very ninja-esque. I was very proud of my Nobog.
You just like to tease us.
I do. I like to
Why?
dangle carrots on sticks. Something.
Why? But that's not a carrot on a stick. That's more like a whip or a knife.
No, but I can use
That's
that
not-
to segue into the severe lack of a carrot on a stick for people to move into Class C out of Class R. I can do that with it. And
Sure.
that's kind of what. Let's move on. Let's move on since I did. How you guys liking Class R? You've been there for a real long time.
We like Class R.
I can see.
I don't know. That's a pretty open question.
All right,
I like
I guess,
Class
let
R
me
now
rephrase
better
it.
than what I did before.
Let me phrase it. What do you hate about Class C? Besides Tiggles.
Oh, well, I think the difference that I would see, or what I dislike about C, is the gameplay mentality turns away from racing to engage the content and turns to attempting to dominate other people. And that's what I don't enjoy. That's why, like, Trouble plays on Red. I have a character on Red, and I've leveled up a little ways. I'm not very far. I'm in my 20s, but I couldn't see myself ever asserting over there while there's still one main Axis power. I don't enjoy the game that way. I don't fault other people who do, but it's just not the environment that I would want to play in full time.
What would you say to the people who would argue that it's classic for a server to have one big top guild of assholes at the top of the food chain?
It's probably accurate. I'm not arguing that it's not. I know, every server had its nuances, and every server had a top guild or top two guilds. Realistically, I can't say that's an inaccurate thing. And I think with the changes that have happened in R since the dissolution of the rotation, what you're seeing is more stratification, where things are leveling out, or not leveling out, but breaking out to be guilds that can engage and accomplish content are separating themselves from ones that can't. Where the rotation protected some of the guilds that couldn't, and BDA was one of those that couldn't consistently defeat a TMO or an IB in a race or an FE. But breaking down the rotation, looking for change in it, breaking down was the result of the change. And Sirken, you know how that kind of all went down. I mean, we had conversations about it, but it's done nothing but make some of our guilds sharpen our swords and get prepared for the eventual dissolution of R and C.
I see.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
What is what you're doing right now? Not racing for mobs in a competitive
racing.
manner.
Well, if according to your guests a few weeks ago, we don't race against Taken, yet we were competing against Taken directly yesterday. We are competing. It's just a different, and I can't say for sure. Is it a different environment than what TMO and
I can tell you on the
Patriot-
FFA mobs, you guys are a whole lot more camp hoopsocky than we are, because we
Right.
wouldn't have that crowd there if you guys didn't have your crowd there. Guarantee that.
Right, and I guess I've seen that except for yesterday when I logged into KC, there was like 180 people in there. So,
You
um,
probably come in late at window when there was like less than a half hour on it or
right,
something.
it was shorter. You're right. You know, I'm not an advocate for mass amounts of poop stocking, and
Yeah.
I think without having some sort of change to the server, which I'm not pushing for when it comes to the development side for spawns and variants and stuff. I don't know where else it goes with this much clog at the top.
Yeah, there is that. There's too many raiders for the content for sure.
Now, Rain, like an interesting idea that I know was talked about a long time ago, just thrown against the wall was have some sort of variance window like we have now, but also randomize the spawn point inside the zone for the mob, so you literally can't poop sock.
Right.
It's impossible. Um, it's a deviation from classic, but if that level of implementation was put in, there'd be no benefit to having 50 people camped or sitting there unless you got lucky and guessed.
I mean, I wouldn't disagree entirely with a change like that, because I mean, when you think about it, our player base has gone very far deviated from Classic in terms of the number of 60s and raid-ready people you normally have on a live server.
Oh, time out. I'm going to put a link in chat real quick, and I'm just going to interrupt all you guys with something completely off topic, but don't forget what you're talking about, because I'm going to send you right back to that topic. I just want to say, for any of you people who are watching, listening, whatever, maybe you're on the Twitch, maybe you're later in the week on YouTube, that's fine. Links in chat. Go there, follow this guy. This guy, Germanfu, he streams multiple games. EQ is one of them. I'm trying to get him to do P99-ish things. I love this person. This person is hands down my absolute favorite streamer on the Twitch right now.
Thanks.
Well, you don't stream often enough. I'm sorry. This guy, he has schedules and he sticks to them, and he streams for like 4 or 5 hours. You have no idea how many petitions get done because I have his stream going in the background and it's entertaining me, and I'm just able to pound shit out. And
Well,
so
it doesn't look like he's somebody who's looking for donations either.
no, he's a real good guy, and I absolutely suggest people, if you are looking for a stream and your regular people aren't around, you should check him out because he's entertaining as shit. He has way more energy than I could ever hope to bring to a stream. If I was hopped up on methamphetamines, I wouldn't be as energetic as this guy is. And so, go there, follow him, check him out, like him, do all his things because I like him a lot. And that's about it. Now, you guys can go back to your discussion that I so rudely interrupted. And if you don't remember what you were talking about, I can jump in with something similar. I believe you were talking about moving dragon or mob spawn points to random locations.
I don't know. Well,
in
I'm just
outdoor
gonna
zones.
have to wait and see how what Belius does to the server, kind of.
Yeah,
I think
Right,
that's
exactly.
the general stance right now is...
Yeah.
we're not going
It's
to
just-
do any big changes before Velius because of how close it is.
Hmm.
No, and I was never asking. I was
Right.
never asking for it. It's a proposal that it's one of the many things that other people have brought up as an attempt to try and bring something in that would open competitiveness up across the board. But I think really everybody is looking forward to Velius launching. It's going to impact every guild in the same way and in different ways. So
Different ways for sure.
I think good ways. I think I've, as some of you may know, I have people that I speak to in most of your guilds. And from what I'm hearing, a lot of you have different plans. Some of you are planning to be jerks. Some of you are just planning to do your own thing. Some of you are planning to lock some stuff down. And some of you are planning just to cockblock. But,
Hey, Sirken,
yeah, buddy,
what if Velius mobs were Class C?
that would
That's
just...
a pretty big fucking carrot.
That would be so unbelievably cruel. as pro like competitive rating as I am, I don't think I could get behind that. That's rough.
If you did that, every guild that wanted to raid would just declare themselves C. They're not gonna sit in. What's the benefit of R at that point? You know, to go back to your very first question about BDA and being an R, the reason why we were in Class R for so long, it's twofold. It's the way that we wanted to approach the game, and the second thing is because I really feel we did a lot to try and help get that started.
Mm-hmm.
That there's no way we wanted to step out of it. We're vilified because we were vocal in wanting change to have the R raid scene adapt because of the number of guilds. But we played Switzerland for the first year to keep other guilds from doing the same thing and wanting to tear it apart. So,
we were basically the last domino to fall, and so it looks really bad on us. But I don't care because I'd never liked the rotation. I liked the class system when it came in because it gave everybody kind of a place on the server, but I thought that was enough myself.
Yeah, we were divided as an officer corps, whether pushing for a rotation and building one up was the way we wanted to go. We were divided as a player base inside our guild. We had people stop playing in our guild and take breaks because of the rotation. So it's not like this was a unified front of, all 500 of our neckbeards doing.
Weren't the people though that didn't like the rotation? Weren't they because they wanted more things? They didn't think it was fair because BDA was a bigger guild, so you should get more.
Nothing to do with quantity. The general feedback was that it was taking some of the excitement and some of the interaction out of play.
Yeah, that's also like why I became an officer in BDA in the first place. I wanted to, step it up and compete, and that's why we started going after some stuff shortly before the class system actually got implemented.
Just to give people some insight with the old rotation, and you can correct me if I'm wrong because it's been a while since that's been a thing, but I'm pretty sure you guys were looking at Class R track-and-ons like every 3 months, and and then the 7-day spawns were about every 4 months, every 120 days ish.
5 to 6 months.
5 to 6 months.
Okay, so even worse than I believed it was.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, the reason as a staff we didn't come down and say there needs to be a Class R rotation is for that reason. We knew that at the time, sure, there's only maybe 8 guilds that are going to be starting in Class R, but the way it's set up that every guild who's not C is automatically Class R, and with taking the big dog guilds like your Rampage, your TMOs, taking them out of the equation, now all of a sudden smaller guilds are going to start killing targets, even if it's just smaller things like Maestro, maybe Steel Dracolich, Faded R. They're still going to be killing our mobs, and they're going to want a piece of the pie. And when everybody, there's no nice way to say everybody doesn't deserve an equal piece of pie. There's not. And the sad truth of it is that's true. Like every guild isn't created equally, and every guild is capable of slightly different things. And so every guild every guild deserves what they're able to take off the table.
Exactly.
And I mean, that's my viewpoint. That's the staff's viewpoint. That doesn't mean train the shit out of each other. That doesn't mean res the enemy guild with 0% reses so they lose XP. That doesn't mean bug out mobs so they can't kill it. That doesn't mean stall mobs so that you still get the kill before they do. That doesn't mean all the scumbaggery has to exist. That's just a byproduct of having a lot of scumbags in one place.
So you're answering the question and feeding into the next point of why did we like R? You don't see that internally inside the rotation, and even now that the rotation has gone away, you don't see that very often in Class R. We don't want to engage in petition quest and have to have 4 people running fraps at every single raid. So while that is Class C, and every guild, like you said, deserves what they can take off the plate. The play style is the actual separator between R and C, not the capability of a guild and what they're able to kill, in my opinion. It wasn't formed based on what you're able to achieve against content. It was formed based off of what you're willing to try and achieve against other people. So BDA wasn't ever willing to do what it took to fight with TMO. We tried, but we didn't want to fall like what VD did and collapse and turn into a nothing guild and disappear. And that was the divider.
Mhm.
That's why FE left and was formed out of BDA. As much as all the shit, can I swear on the stream? I don't know.
You can say whatever you want.
So as much as all the shit got talked about, well, we left because of leadership.
No, I take
because
that
we don't
back.
like
Hold
chest.
on. You can't use like hate speech. Other than that,
No,
you're good.
no.
Okay.
I'm from Minnesota. We don't have hate speech here.
Oh.
But with all the shit that got talked about chest leadership and
Oh, hold
at the
on.
time,
Did you just say chest?
Oh, sorry, I broke the rule. I wasn't going to say his name. The Glorious Dear Leader's leadership. What it really was is there was more hardcore players that came over from VD and some that were already in our guild that wanted to go take it at TMO, and that caused that split where FE was formed.
Right. I remember that.
So
I just want to point out though,
your
those
RNC
people now
split
run
that way.
TMO.
Well, we don't even need to circle back on that. I'm not
I
going to.
just think it's funny. That's all. I just think it's funny how things end up sometimes.
I don't argue the same way as the Glorious Dear Leader does. I'm not going to go back and dig that up. Everybody knows that server history and they know where people come from.
Oh, come on though. It's kind of amazing. If 2 years ago I would have went and told Alardi that some people that are currently tagged in BDA will be running his guild, he would have bet $1 million that I was wrong.
What do you suppose the bet would have been? That they would have never absorbed Lord Bob? Oh, perfect transition.
I actually knew I knew they were talking, and so that didn't catch me completely off guard. It was I did not expect the reaction that blew up over it though.
Yeah, I didn't expect that either.
I'm actually excited to see some of the people in TMO, some of the long-standing members, saying that they're not comfortable with it.
I'm sure by now you've all heard what happened to the website.
I'm on RNF all day, yes.
Okay. That
shocked
shocked me.
The source for all information on the server.
I was talking to a TMO person last night when that actually happened, and as soon as it happened, they linked me to it. And I thought I was being trolled at first. I'm like, this isn't the real TMO site. And they're like, no, it is. It absolutely is. Jeremy's pissed.
Yeah, he was just a little pissed. It's not a big deal. The website was still there. All the information was still there. It was just Flippy had to get it back together again. It's not a problem.
Up?
Yeah, it's back up.
Oh, that makes me...
He didn't delete anything. He didn't do any of the stuff. It was just a protest. It's no big deal.
TMOguild.org, isn't that correct? I'm plugging
your
guild, right?
You changed your front page though, and it's amazing.
I don't know what it is. I don't go to the main page. I just go to the forums.
Made by Sirken, page 27.
Oh yeah, that was what it was. We had this big page that took just a real long time to load, and it had all these things on it that did stuff, and they tried to simplify it, and they didn't have a picture for it, and so they grabbed that one.
Well, I linked it in chat so people can see something. That's a pretty amazing MS Paint picture.
It is. You're the king of MS Paint.
I'm definitely not. I've had people send me some really awesome MS Paint pictures in the past. I had someone send me an MS Paint picture of me one time, and I thought that was A+.
You mean like real you or Sirken?
Well, Sirken me.
Oh, on Sirken, okay.
Yeah, no, real me is not photogenic. Real me is like 300 pounds and neck beardy, and I've got a hot pocket hanging out of my mouth. It's a whole thing. It's a whole
What
thing.
kind of hot pocket?
I mean, at that point, does it really matter?
Absolutely.
He eats the light ones.
Based on my other food choices, I'd have to imagine it's one of the breakfast ones, because I do a lot with breakfast foods.
The breakfast ones are good.
Although I've been making rice a lot. I've been making a lot of rice, and cutting up chicken and putting
Just
it
white
in there.
rice or like the whole wheat rice? whole
I
grain?
think it's white rice. I don't know. It comes in a Uncle Ben's box, and I throw it. Oh man, I'll tell you guys.
Was it
my
like
secret.
20-minute rice?
No, listen.
Okay.
I brown these egg noodles. I throw some beef consomme in there. I throw some rice in there. I throw some water in there. I mix that shit all up. I let it cook, and it's glorious. Throw some salt in there. It's glorious.
That sounds like real food, Sirken.
It is real
Congratulations.
food. It's borderline. I don't know what's happening to me, to be honest. I haven't had
Wait
a
until you
lasagna
learn how to put
taco.
rice in tacos.
I've thought about it. I've absolutely thought about it.
It's a thing.
Because you could just put rice and chicken and cheese together
Mm-hmm.
and wrap it up and bring
That
it back
shit's
to
a
the
taco.
computer, and then I can ban people and I can eat delicious food.
It's definitely better when you have good food. Life is better.
Pretty much everything I eat is good food. Just most of you nerds haven't tried it, so you think it's weird.
You know
Really?
how big of an effect good food pays on you not being a fat neckbeard and being kind of a skinny neckbeard?
I feel like for me to maintain my position on the P99 staff, I have to maintain my life stance as a fat neckbeard. I feel
Evidently,
that's important.
I'm fading off the server. I've lost 63 pounds in the last like 6 months because I don't like not seeing my genitals anymore.
Well, I mean, once that happens, you should definitely start making life changes, sure. But I mean, until then, Hot Pockets. Or I guess if diabetes kicks in, you should probably stop as well.
No, I didn't have a case of the sugars yet.
My friend has diabetes, and he is just the most irresponsible diabetic you'll ever meet in your entire life.
I grew up with one of those. My dad was that way. Like, I used to have to call the ambulance to come pick him up regularly.
Right?
You know, like, my dad's blood sugar, multiple times when I was a child, got down to, like, 6. It's like,
That's horrible.
He should be dead. And then...
He just goes into a diabetic coma, or what?
Yeah, well, yeah, when it drops to 6, he'd pass out into, like,
Right.
a diabetic coma. Or he'd spike up, like, above 1,000 because he'd be eating candy bars and not take a shot of insulin. And at that point, it's like a meth head. He's just bouncing off the walls.
That's great.
Yeah, great parenting. Thanks, Pops.
Thanks, Dad. And that's why you're able to play on the red server today. Oh, man. You know what? I should do that. I should go around to all the people who have been on red for a while and just start asking them where their parents are. Be like Dr. Drew in the 90s. Just blame...
Most everybody in Empire has 4 or more dads. Just gonna put that out there.
So you've been
4?
raised by 2 sets of gay parents? How exactly does that work?
Poorly.
I mean, shit. That actually explains a lot about the red server. It just needs more moms. I gotta get Eunomia on the red server stat. Oh, Eunomia wants to do like so much help for the red server, and I'm just so scared that she'll ban everybody. Like, just literally everybody. Like, a lot of people, Troubledour, you're the only one here who deals with me on red, but I don't know if you noticed this or if you've been around long enough to notice this. Maybe people in chat can speak to this if you guys can't. I'm a completely different GM on red server than I am on blue server. And shit that you get away with on red will never fly on blue. And Eunomia, she is just Eunomia. Like, it doesn't matter what server she's on. She is who she is, and if you fuck around, she's gonna get you. Whereas my red filter kicks in, and it's like, it's red. And so things that would get you banned on blue get you your OOC revoked, and things that would get your guild raid suspended on blue just get you a suspension for training on red, and so on and so on. I would like to say, I think it was Elemental, again, who said this earlier, but he was talking about variance on red. And I get where he's coming from with, if you guys, for the most part, are able to position raid mobs on days that you want them to be all nice and spread out and perfect, it makes it really harder for anybody to compete. But variance requires tracking. It requires around-the-clock people. And in my opinion, that's going to make it easier on the biggest guilds. Your guilds like Empire, and when Fresh levels up, they've got the numbers. Like guilds like that would benefit so much more than every other guild on the server with variance.
Well, I think it's beneficial to also the smaller guilds on Red that there's not variance.
Right,
Because
exactly.
they know when to contest if they want to, if they choose to do so.
One thing I would say that I think would be great for both servers would up the competing for mobs on Red and would hopefully ruin poop socking on Blue would be just replace the... Obviously, this couldn't be a manually done thing by Rogan, but if you could just replace the way raid pops work with coded earthquakes that only Rogan knows when they're going to pop the mobs, you guys wouldn't be able to poop sock that. There'd be no window. You'd literally just have to have people there 24 hours a day, every day, on the off chance that there's an earthquake.
We've begged for that, Sirken. A large sect of Class R.
Yeah, that's where it came from, was Class R
begged
guilds.
for that.
I know.
Randomize earthquakes, take away class assigned spawns, or switch it so that all spawns are earthquakes, and then they, under CNR they rotate back and forth between the two. But whatever, make them randomized like that. You'd see a lot more. I think it would increase the health of the server incredibly.
Dizzy is saying that guilds would just park their army of alts at priority targets, and I mean, I guess they could, but that's only going to work for one mob, though.
That's fair, I think.
That's fine.
Yeah.
If you want to park a bunch of alts at Trackanon, what happens when another guild parks a bunch of their mains at Trackanon? I mean, most times the alts are going to lose unless those alts are also outnumbering and better geared than the mains. And then, even then, though, with everything popping at the same time, I don't care how big you are. Be it Holocaust, be it TMO, be it Rampage, be it BDA, be it Taken. I don't care how big you are. You can only be in so many places at once.
Exactly. You have to make decisions, and you have to pick your priorities. And if you only want to be camped at one mob all the time, then that's what you're choosing. And other guilds can adjust at that point and make something else a priority.
Now, and this is just like, what's the word? Random fucking guessing, but it shouldn't be too difficult for Rogan to make that a script of sorts, I would think.
Rogan could absolutely do that.
Yeah.
The problem is, it's one of those not classic things, and anything that we do that's not classic takes lots and lots of lobbying for.
I think it would take about 2 years of this happening into Velius. If it's just as bad now, 2 years into Velius, then
Hopefully
maybe
not.
you'll have a platform to speak on.
No, I mean, I feel like even fuck Velius. With 4.5 years of Kunark, we have enough evidence and just data to look at and be like, this is going to be a problem. With there not being an expansion planned after Velius, we're going to run into the same exact problem that we ran into with Kunark. And
Although you may have more experience with Rogan, I feel like it won't be enough until it happens again.
yeah, maybe. I mean, you say happen again, it's happening right now.
But that's happened again after Velius. Like, if I were him, and I were as adamant about things being classic, I would want to see it happen again after a big change like Val. Because big change before big change, or big change at the same, like all at the same time is too much.
I hear you. Robo Space Cop wants to know what I think about removing or nerfing poison potions that negate shaman and necro dots. I have no idea what he's talking about because I don't play and I don't dev, and so I have no idea. But as players, do you guys have any opinions on that?
Is he talking about the wart pots? Stinging wart pots?
I have no idea. He just says
Sounds like a red thing.
could be a red thing,
Because
but I know
the
blue.
dots won't overwrite.
Oh, that's right. I heard on Red if you get rabies, you can't get other things or something.
It takes your disease slot, I would imagine.
Right.
Rudis,
so-
confirm, deny.
I cannot confirm or deny.
All right, Robo Space Cop, we can't help you. We have no idea. But I'll tell
I mean,
you
it
what.
sounds like a thing.
I mean, I think
Can
Necros are
anybody
great.
clarify?
I don't
And
think.
we can continue to discuss that.
I don't think so. But I
Well, what
will.
I'm saying is, chugging potions that give you a poison I'm guessing is preventing Necros or Chamois from adding on their own poison, because of the way buff stacking works.
But if the dot's a higher level than the potion, the dot should overwrite. No.
I feel like if the person using the potion is higher level than the
Oh.
person casting the dot, it should overwrite. But if they're the same level, I would think the dot that does the most damage would be the one that would
Read that entirely wrong way.
stay.
All right.
Antidote potions cast in 2 seconds and removes Bane of Knife, for example, which is a 400 mana spell.
Oh, antidote potions. Sounds fine to me.
Yeah, that's
And
one of
versus
those differences
classics.
between PvP and blue servers. You can't just dot shit. You gotta start with like a siphon strength and one more garbage thing, and then you throw your splurt and your e-bolt and whatever else. You gotta put it at the bottom of their bullshit.
But I mean, there's cure poison disease.
Oh, fuck
spells
them.
attached,
Fuck.
but-
You know what? I don't care. We're moving
No,
on.
but I mean, like in the same vein, like I don't see how the potions are an issue when those spells already also exist.
That's true, but you would need those classes to cast those spells, whereas the potion anyone has at any time.
So what would you suggest? Like making the cast time on the antidote pots longer if you feel they're overpowered, or
If they're
Just-
that OP, that would probably be the best thing to do, yeah.
I mean, I wasn't under the illusion
Or
that
add a
EverQuest
recast
PvP
time.
was balanced.
It's not. That's what makes it so great, but you don't want it to be... You don't want to completely nullify somebody, except clerics, because they're fucking useless. But Uberbandit, I'm putting you in
Yeah.
charge. I gotta go to my kitchen.
All right,
It's too late. The headset's off. You can't even say no.
Oh,
You have the reins.
where are my reins? Oh yeah, I was kind of curious. I don't know how close you're listening into one of the last streams, but we were talking with like the AG people about increasing lockout timers in Class R. I was curious if you had thoughts on that.
sounds
I
like
think-
a rotation, bro.
Yeah, it just forces things back into a rotation, a greater server sanctioned rotation.
Oh, you guys are using the R word on my stream.
We're answering his question. So, there were. You want this the tender way or the not tender way? There was
No,
a
give it to me the
large,
grown-up way.
There were a large number of inaccuracies stated by Nemps and Clokey on your stream.
Well, I'm sure they're not. You guys are different people. No
Yeah,
one's gonna know everything
Shit.
about the other.
I'm not talking differences of opinions. I'm talking straight out inaccuracies. Shit that was made up. I listened to it. I watched it again on YouTube to make notes. So,
Ooh, let's hear these
But-
notes about what you wanted.
well, the first one, and I'll just call a spade a spade, but Clokey completely overstating his level of involvement in any of the stuff that we did to work and form CR and FFA. There's actually reasons why we didn't, as an officer corps, want him to be one of our representatives or involved deeply in the talks, and it's for the same reason why it was so difficult to get change to happen inside Class R, which is you can't make everything take 6, 8, 10 weeks to sit and talk about and think. A call to action is sometimes needed in order to spur conversation and make things happen. He's overstated that on multiple times. There's things that were brought up about let me look at my list. I'm actually pulling up the sheet right now.
While he's doing that,
Go ahead, talk.
I'm going to go back to those potions for a second. Robo Space Cop is just saying maybe the potion clicks should have the same cast time as the spells.
Either
But-
that or some kind of cooldown or recast delay, so that if the Necro recasts, you can't just burn it again.
I mean, I don't know where to suggest something like that, but if, I would suggest it in like Red Server Chat or something on the forum.
Put it in like server chat, or if there's some kind of like PvP dev discussion forum, maybe it might exist. I don't know.
Hey, while we're talking about the forum, you mentioned a while back on the Red forum that you were thinking of adding a guild discussion thread like there is on Blue.
Raid yeah.
Raid discussion.
Essentially the raid discussion thread, but for Blue or for Red, yeah.
I was wondering if that's still going to happen or if it's kind of like who cares or what.
So you guys have no idea what this is like because you've been grandfathered in since the beginning. But for any guild who joined the R rotation after the fact, they can probably tell you what it's like to get raid discussion access.
It's terrible.
It's much harder for me to get a new forum added than it is for me to even get those people access to existing forums. And so I pick and choose my battles. When I have Rogan's attention and he's doing things, I know I only have him for so long. And so I've got to pick the most important things. And a PvP raid discussion forum really hasn't come up. The main reason I want it is so I have a place to put threads when I start raid suspending guilds on Red, without it turning into a shit show or a Rants and Flames festival. Oh, fun fact, there's a character named Watermelon and a character named Watermelons, and I tried to loot Watermelon's corpse before it rotted again, and I accidentally logged in Watermelon.
Watermelon grape juice. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds like a terrible combination.
That's one of those stupid things that happen to staff members that we just can't do anything about.
So, to not push back onto a tangent about this whole thing, but the things that with Class R that are interesting that I'd say right now are guilds. When we brought forward that whole big manifesto that got put into RNF and everybody ripped apart, the entire goal of it was to try and take Class R and accommodate your up-and-coming guilds and somehow develop a tiered progression system. The major pushback that I received as we kept fielding those was that they didn't want to have to make a decision quickly, and they didn't like that we blindsided them with it.
But why? I heard some discussion about you chose hardest mobs for them to kill.
Initially.
We changed it.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
that
when
was my big problem with it.
When we changed it, we took each tier and took the middle mob as being the qualifier one to move into that tier. The other thing was as soon as if your guild wanted to try and move it to the next tier, you could basically raise your hand and invoke "We want to test," and you would immediately be assigned that next Class R rotation slot on that test mob. So you weren't going to have to wait. You could just immediately test on it the next time it spawned, and then if you killed it, you just slid into rotation at that spot.
Killed it in how long of a time frame?
I think what did we start out with on that was 2 hours.
I think so.
Yep. 2
I
hours
think
protected
moved from
engage.
4 to 2.
I think it was 1 hour. 1 hour.
I think
for-
1
Yeah,
hour
you
was
were-
for like
1
a
hour
You
night
were
though.
wanting them to kill it in pretty short
The
time.
1 hour thing was shot down real quick from what I
Right, but we
remember.
went-
But it's
people.
an hour. Isn't that enough?
We went from
Shit,
1
it's
to
more
2.
than I would give you.
We went from 1 to 2, and using Nems's own words, he flat out said that 2 hours isn't the problem now, and he wasn't actually really against, from what I remember in the conversations, he wasn't so much against the timetable, more he didn't like the tiering to some degree, and he had a problem with it being thrown out there very quickly and abruptly without discussion first, when it was thrown out there to create the discussion. So, there's things in there where I left everything at with it was, we were still at the table, willing to come to the table, but we weren't going to just wait for feet to be dragged for a 12-week decision like everything else had taken inside that rotation as it was developed and any changes were brought forward.
Yeah.
So, because then nothing would have ever changed.
I was kind of hoping it didn't work out this way, but some of the leaders of the Class R guild spent more time trying to get a hold of you, Sirken, to see what you had to say about all this, rather than actually discussing and seeing what we could work out. And we're still open for discussion. Not that it matters with Velius a month away, but we wouldn't mind, certain changes to the R scene, like what Class C has done and kind of civilized themselves in a way where they race differently than Kothing, from what I understand.
Right.
Both inside and out of VP.
Can't speak for Taken and can't speak for any other guilds, but I know that BDA has been and has continued to be willing to have conversations with people, but now because we're the big bad demon, nobody wants to, and whatever, that's their prerogative.
I will say two things. Oh my god, did I really just forget both of them? I think I forgot both of my things. Oh god damn it. I felt I had two good things.
Use Notepad, bro.
I don't know. I've seen how Chess tries to negotiate with people, and
Chess isn't the point of contact.
Oh,
Anichek's the point of contact. Chess isn't the point of contact for any
I've had
Class
some
R stuff.
discussions with Anichek too when he was being pretty stubborn too. So
yeah, I softened over time.
Did you know?
I'll say I purposely did not get back to a lot of people because I don't like having to repeat the same thing a dozen times. And when everybody contacts me individually, that's what ends up happening. I tried to post my opinions in the relevant threads on the Class R forums when you guys had posted the tier model thing originally, the idea or whatever.
Yep.
That's where I put my opinions. And I know me and you, Anichek, we talked a little bit.
You pulled me in with representatives from almost every other guild,
mm-hmm.
and they had the opportunity to field questions to you
mm-hmm.
and to have a discussion. You answered those questions, and they just went away from there, and everything stopped.
Well, this is going to sound shitty, and I don't mean it the way it sounds, and so I apologize in advance. But I think some of the Class R guilds kind of were just expecting me to hold their hand and be their knight in shining armor against the big bad guilds who were telling them the things they didn't want to hear. And I had no intention of doing that. I think they thought that I wasn't going to allow a tier system, or that I was going to put something in place if they just refused to talk about it. But other than a few minor things, I was a big fan of the tier system.
Well, I vetted it with you before we ever took version 1 out to Class R to make sure that this wasn't going to be something that the server staff or you specifically would shoot down as, no, this type of format can't be set up anywhere.
Right.
And both I and you told everybody else that. It just didn't seem to connect. It just didn't seem to get through. I'm not saying this was backed by you or by server staff. I just checked to see if you would be stepping in or saying this violated anything that you guys have set up for your guidance.
I'm pretty sure your almost word for word was that you didn't want to put a bunch of time into hammering out a system just to have the staff come and shoot it down.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. I remember. I appreciated it. And I believe the only glaring problem I had with it originally was the barriers of entry,
which were adjusted after your conversation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I know you guys moved the time to 2 hours.
And we also went away from saying nobody could ally together to, if you ally for one, you ally
all
for
or nothing. All. Yeah, I like that too.
Which mimics a lot of, well, at least from my memory, mimicked what my experience on with Live was. A lot of those guilds that had to team up together to try and assert themselves in the raid scene, ended up in the long run either staying separate guilds for farming and friendship reasons, but still raiding together all the time,
Right.
or they ended up merging.
Yeah, exactly. It's a way of merging, but keeping your identity, keeping your guild, keeping all of those things.
Correct.
That's how I remember it happening on live servers as well.
My guild on live was one of those small guilds that we would have never seen raid content unless we went and were basically a separate kill squad or a small entity that was reinforcing other guilds. So we would bring our 6 or 12 people, whoever were online, and just reinforce another raid guild, and then they would let us share in rolling in loot or whatever, and that's just the way we did it. I was never in a large hardcore raid guild, but we contributed to many of them, kind of like Guns for Hire.
Right. Yeah, me and a real life friend started a guild on Valentzek called Macabre, and we pretty much were in the same boat. We couldn't kill all the targets we wanted by ourselves, but there was another guild that was very similar to our mindset called Vexar, and we did we did almost everything with them. Literally almost everything, unless it was beneath them, they couldn't be bothered. But other than that, I mean, we were essentially the same guild. We did everything together. It's just they wanted to keep their tag, we wanted to keep our tag, and it was fine. Like, we both had active leadership. There was no problem with time or being grown-ups and shit like that, because it was 15 years ago. And so we all had time to run guilds, and there was no reason that we saw to merge. But we did do everything together, unless it was like an off maestro or something. And so yeah, I think that, I mean, it's gonna sound shitty, but a lot of the Class C guild, or I'm sorry, a lot of the Class R guilds, they should merge together.
I agree. I think they're going to need it in Velius. I mean, unless they retain that, small guild mentality, they're still not going to be going after the big mobs that they think they're going to.
You can't, I'm sorry, but you cannot be a small guild mentality and also want to raid in Velius, and expect to raid in Velius, rather. I mean, you need 40, 45, 50 people that are ready to raid Velius to kill some of these, the medium. That's not even the harder ones.
I think one guild that's doing it right, and they absolutely fucking hate us right now. They're a small guild. They're mostly 60s now, which I was impressed with. They're taking down targets. They beat us by like 3 seconds to a VS a couple weeks ago.
3 seconds on a VS is huge, guys. Sorry.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah,
totally fucked up. But but I think they've got a nice core right now, and I think when Velius comes, they're going to be able to build on that and really succeed. And I'm excited for that. I like to see more guilds like that instead of people whining and not really trying.
They're a guild that is getting stronger and asserting themselves more, and in reality, in a classic timeline, they're a guild that realistically will end up swallowing up another small guild that isn't doing that, and it'll bolster their numbers and make them be able to step up even more.
Someone just got modded.
Uh-oh.
I don't know who it was, but I see
Oh boy.
It.
Mr. Anonymous name who likes to talk shit under anonymous or under the anonymity.
I want to say, oh shit, maybe it was the person that just got modded, but for the person who said, so you want to see BDA merge with another guild, I'm pretty sure I said small guilds.
Cut that out, okay? Thanks.
I don't know who that is.
That's Juventino.
That was a frog. I heard it.
I gotta close my window.
See, I pronounce J's as J's and not H's. Because
do you raise frogs? Every time I've ever heard you, even back in your old BDA days, you'd cue up your mic and there's just frogs.
She's a champion. Yes, she's champion frogs.
I live in the country and I have a large pond with koi in it right outside my window.
And frogs.
And those are the frogs. They're just little Oregon tree frogs. They're about they're about a size of a $50, and they're really cute, so I can't kill them.
Are they poisonous?
No, they're little tree frogs. They're so cute.
If you lick their backs, do you get high?
No, I haven't tried that.
Do
So,
it.
hang on,
It's
I'm
possible.
gonna close
It's
my
possible.
window here.
Can you try that? And then if it works, can you send a friend of mine one of those frogs?
Yeah, report back to us.
A friend of mine, it's probably the same roommate that most people have IP exemptions for.
His name's Anichek.
And a chalk.
Oh, my IP exemptions got removed. I don't know why.
Oh, really? Did you get caught boxing?
No, they got taken out when the very big boxing ban came through, and then they shored up a bunch of IP exemptions that hadn't been used in a long time just to try and tighten things up. And I've never asked for it since, because the real life buddies that I used to play with, they all quit when their characters got into the 30s.
Oh,
I see,
lovely.
I
Now,
see.
Anichek, you got somebody.
You both
Nothing.
do, actually.
Oh, we
You
both
both
do.
do. Yes.
That's
He has
awesome.
combined the two of you into one fan
That's fine. It
club.
gives me something to do while I'm listening to y'all. I like it. I did have a question though. That's sort of open-ended, but what do you think? Like, what changes would be made that could force, or at least encourage BDA into Class C?
I've been trying to encourage BDA into Class C. I think the issue has always been, until now, who gives a shit? Because Velius is coming, but
Mhm.
we wanted more track teeth. I know people think we have a lot, but we have a wide range of people that are in BDA, from the hardcore that would prefer to see us in C to people that you might see once a month or once every 6 months, because we don't kick people out just because they don't play. So a lot of those keys for people to go inactive are basically useless to us unless people are boxing their characters,
Right.
and those people, would rather play their own.
So a carrot on the stick right now, and I'm not speaking on behalf of our glorious dear leader, but I avoided the name again. One of the things would be to see some sort of I hate to say it needs to be reduced to writing, but logical, progressive raid violation punishment.
Have you seen what I put up yesterday?
Yes.
What do you think of that? Because that lays out pretty much what I'm going to do in every situation.
I like this step. I think it gets a little assertive or presumptuous if people would want you to go retroactive to other guilds' histories. But now that you've made a statement, I think it's something that people need to expect to operate underneath.
Yeah, I'm way past trying to please everybody. That's never going to be a thing. It's not. Knix yells at me at least 3 or 4 times a week.
Do I? I don't think I do.
You do. Recently, you have.
Yeah, because some of your rulings have not been that fair.
Well, I'm sorry you feel that way.
It's okay. I still think you're doing your best.
Like I'm not gonna get all of them right, and that's why I strongly encourage guilds to work shit out amongst themselves. I know that is one thing I will tip my hat to Class R at. Like, you guys are able to work a lot of shit out yourselves, and I wish Class C would be better about doing that.
And that's one of the things you said was the biggest barrier, right, Annie? That sort of cooperation between or inside the classes.
That's a big deal.
I guarantee that if there have been no Class C raid suspensions for, say, 6 months, 7 months, whatever, staff probably would have had a serious talk about bumping guilds from R to C by this point. But because of every month that I know I have to be better about doing raid petitions more than once a month, but you guys have no idea how much time it takes and how much energy it just sucks out of my life. But every month when I sit down and do those, everybody knows that a Class C guild or more than one Class C guild is going to get suspended. And it's constant ammunition for the Class R guilds to be like, well, that's why I don't want to join Class C. It's a shit show. Look at all the shit they have to deal with. And that's not even the ones that Sirken throws out because he says the Fraps isn't good enough, even if everyone else, including Knix, thinks it is good enough. And so I can't blame people for not wanting to jump into that. Even though I know, because I watch it, that the Class C raid scene is a lot better than it's portrayed on the forums. I'm actually hoping to have. Oh, well, we won't talk about that. I think if the Class C raid scene was just cleaner, that it would be more appealing to bigger guilds that didn't want to deal with restrictions, and I think it would be the first step to actually having a carrot on a stick.
There's a few things that make it seem like there's still a pretty big gap, and things that definitely scare guilds off. If any guilds ever competed with a Class C guild for CT or Draco in an FFA scenario, by the time we get to Draco and get him pulled, CT's dead. And they obviously do it on purpose so that we can't kill Draco or it switches classes when it dies, but that's what we're
Okay.
dealing with. That's
Okay,
kind of a
but
big
you
barrier.
think we do it on purpose, but what we're actually doing, we're racing against the other Class C guild, and it's like whoever gets there first. So we're not both all going to sit on the sideline while you kill Draco.
That's understandable.
But we're not
also,
we're not doing it to spite you. We're doing it because we're racing for CT.
that's fine. I believe you. That's just one barrier. Still, the point stands with the time difference and how long it would take a Class R guild to do that, as opposed to a current Class C guild. And places like Traxlayer, we don't train jugs away. I think a lot of Class R guilds would be scared shitless to do that for fear of a raid suspension.
Or
Whereas you guys are used to it.
or swarm kiting in hate, that we don't go up there and swarm everything, because then when you wipe, the entire zone aggroes and wipes everybody else. It's that happened. What was that, 2-3 innies ago that we were involved in? So I don't know how long ago that was on the real timetable, 60 days ago. But
Oh, speaking of hate, I'm sorry I mistyped in that raid suspension thread. It was hate that you guys were trained in and not Sky, and I went back and fixed that.
How does that?
The glorious
does that
cheerleader can
affect them?
sleep now.
Since Dolge has apparently merged with TMO, how does that even affect them anymore? Or is that kind of moot?
I mean, really, I'll talk to Rogan about it, but in my opinion, I'm not going to punish TMO people for the sins of Lord Bob.
I'm asking about their previous members. I kind of don't give a shit if they can go to 8 or not for like a week, but
I'm going to ask Rogan
trainers
exactly
definitely.
word for word what he told me about the Rampage merger thing. Because if I say one word different than what I said about that, I'm going to be crucified.
Oh,
and
for sure.
so I need to make sure that I just copy and paste what he says again. I'm pretty sure that he's going to tell me it needs to apply to the people that were tagged at the time. And then I'm going to tell him that will be a horrible, horrible pain in the ass for me to verify. And then he's going to tell me it's on them to verify. And then it's probably just going to get kicked around in the sand for a little bit. But
Which
realistically,
then turns into everybody else trying to verify for you.
Yeah, I know.
Scraps and screenshots.
People are way too concerned with trying to get people punished instead of just playing the game.
Exactly.
That's the other thing. Like, I don't give a shit. I don't suspend people based around basketball schedules, and I don't tell guilds ahead of time, hey, get your ducks in a row, because in 2 weeks I'm going to have enough time to sit down and do raid petitions, and you guys are getting hit. So if you want to avoid that, I'd merge with TMO pretty quick. Like, I don't tell them that. They don't have any kind of insider upcoming info. So if that happened, it happened. It wasn't done to circumvent a suspension. Had I suspended Lord Bob and then they merged into TMO, then I'd be like, okay, you guys are just trying to hide from a suspension. I'm not going to have that shit. But I know that they've been talking about this for at least a week, and I know that they had no idea that suspension was coming until I posted it. And so I'm not, like, I can't, in my good conscience, I can't punish TMO for that. Just like I had a hard time punishing A-Team for what IB did before they turned into Rampage.
Sure. One thing I noticed that was different on these suspensions, besides some of the harsher punishments, was you actually named and shamed trainers and suspended them.
I'm trying to do different things, because every time, like, if I do the same shit expecting different results, I'm an idiot. And so I do something, and it clearly doesn't work, so I do something a little bit differently, and if that doesn't work, I do things a little bit differently, I'm just going to keep tweaking the recipe until I get it.
Then that leads into the problem where you hear an outcry from people for consistency
Yes.
because you keep changing
Yes,
things.
but I don't care. But I'm hoping that with me posting what I'm going to do and me sticking to that, it will alleviate all of those people's woes. But for people to be like, well, if you do X, then Y should happen every time, it's unrealistic. If you, anyone who's ever sat in a courtroom, if you listen to 10 cases of theft, I guarantee you're going to see 10 different sentences for all the same crime. If 10 people get convicted of murder, they're not all getting the same sentence. If you train one person in Sol B, you're going to get a much different suspension, or rather, you deserve a much different punishment than if you wipe a guild in VP. And if you wipe a guild in VP when nothing's up, how do you deserve the same suspension than if you wipe a guild in VP during a full repop when 6 dragons are up? Training isn't just training. You have to... The situation matters. And I know people hate when I say that, but every situation is different. And so we look at things on a case by case, and we try to be as consistent as possible. But for someone to be like, well, they trained and got this, and we trained and did this, that's like, to me, that's a bullshit argument, because how many people did you kill? What was up? How much did your guild benefit from your train? How much did their guild benefit? Or how badly did you hurt them or set them back? These are all factors that have to be considered. It's not just, well, he trained in VP and we trained in VP and the punishments are different. That's corruption. I hate this server. And so I have a real hard time with just black and white. This is the punishment for training. This is the punishment for kill stealing. This is the punishment for whatever. Unless it's something where it doesn't matter, like RMT or third-party programs or boxing or something where it's just you're guilty, the situation has no bearing on the crime, it's just guilty, and we do our punishments.
On the topic of punishments, Ragefire spawns like once a day, and there's always contention. I know.
Yeah,
we have a
whenever
lot of
I'm bored, I
problems
just go to Sobi.
It is a dragon, after all. It drops dragon loot. Do you plan on making those like raid type suspensions where some guild can't do Ragefire for like a week, or something like that, for KSing somebody else's Ragefire? I mean, it seems different every time. Sometimes you'll return the pearl, sometimes you'll return the loot, and I know every situation is different as well. But
the problem with that, the biggest problem with Ragefire is 99% of the time, first of all, no staff members there, and it's only dealt with by petition, forum petitions. Pro tip, guys, anything that requires anything to be looked up at all goes in the petition form. So anything that requires an item to be looked up or an account to be looked up, literally anything at all, petition form. And if it's not in the petition form, it's not going to get restored. And then that said, how you describe the situation matters. You can't just be like, TMO's a bunch of dicks, I need a new pearl. Like, that's not helpful. If you're like, I turned in this pearl at this time, here's this, and they engaged it before 20 minutes, now I know what to look for. Or if someone, just whatever the situation is, describe it well enough. Most times it's just a situation of a person needs a pearl to be turned in. If you don't say that you got KS'd, I'm not going to pull up the encounter logs and look to see if you were KS'd, because I have no reason to think that's a thing if you don't tell me that's a thing. And this isn't an excuse, but this is just real life. When I sit down to do petitions, I do them in real large batches. When I did the last batch, I had 91 petitions waiting for me in the forums, and I think I knocked out almost 85 of them in one sitting. And so if I add an extra 60 seconds to each one of those petitions, that's an hour and a half extra that I'm sitting down doing these things. If I add 2 minutes, that's 3 hours extra. And so I try to do them as quickly as possible. Sometimes I'm going to make mistakes, and it's not the greatest system, admittedly, but it's with the time I have, it's the best way I can do it. And Rogan doesn't want to give other people the access that I have, and I don't want to involve other staff in raid type disputes, because as you guys all know, consistency is an issue, and having different people making decisions is not going to help that.
I was
I'm
actually
not-
just going to ask about that, since you were 2 GMs previously, if you were thinking about bumping that back up again to have more help.
So
Sounds like a no.
in the past, so usually for the last couple years, we have 2 GMs. We have the Sirken, which is your head CSR GM, and then we have the position that Deribale filled, and before him, GM Epfi filled, and that is our database and investigations GM. Technically, that person still falls under CSR, and so they can be used for CSR type things, and technically they can fall under me, so I can make them deliver bad news if I don't want to, or so on and so on. Sometimes, because of shit in the forums, the atmosphere of the community changes. And if let's say I just recently gave a real harsh suspension to Rampage, and everybody's like, oh, Sirken loves TMO, and he's doing things to Rampage so that they can get free stuff. I will then, if I have to do anything else to the other guild, I would ask the other GM to do it, just because I don't want it to look like I'm doing bad things. Or I'll be like, hey, can you take a look at this? One thing I'm not ashamed to admit is that there's a lot of people on the Red server that I've known for a long time. Some of them I've known since live server. I played with them on live. Some of them I've known over 7 years because of VZTZ. And some of them I've only known since Red 99. But a couple of those people I've asked either in the past Deribale or Epfi, or now I'll ask Eunomia to just deal with that petition, because I truthfully don't know, like, if I'd ever be able to suspend that person or those people. And so, like, I don't know what the word is. I'm good enough to know, like, where I won't be fair with something. And there's 2 people. There's a guy who I played live with, and a guy that I've known for 8 years since VZTZ. And I won't say their names, but I won't do their petitions, just because Rogan knows how long I've known these people, and if I ever ruled something either in favor of them or against a person who they petitioned, it would never look good. I'm sure you guys all recently remember, maybe a month ago now, there was a thread posted by an anonymous forum troll showing a screenshot of Hokushin basically saying that I told him Velius was coming out at the end of March or early April.
Good thread.
It was a great thread, and let me tell you something. Let me tell you how fucking serious Rogan takes the staff integrity shit. He actually, regardless of the fact that we've met up multiple times, that he's known me for over 3 years, that I've never done anything to be in trouble on a staff, on any project, server, staff I've ever been a part of in the last 7.5 years. He still comes to me and he's like, so, anything you want to tell me about this? And I was like, really? And luckily for me, I already found out who it was that posted it, and called that person out on Skype and logged it all and was able to send him that whole conversation. But I forgot where I was going with that. Let me tell you guys something. You want to talk shit about Sirken? That's okay. I'll allow it, and I'll go tit for tat with you guys many a times. But there are lines, and you don't cross those lines. You do not Photoshop some shit that will potentially get me thrown off staff if I'm not smart enough to figure out who you are and then prove that, get you to admit that you Photoshopped that shit. That upset me a lot. And I think I'm just ranting at this point because of how much that pissed me off. Yeah, buddy.
Has it been discussed whether the rules state that there will be more serious punishments for elongated periods of time? but hasn't normally been the case for repeated offenses.
I don't understand your question.
He's
It's
saying-
this question.
Yeah, he says the rules state that there will be more serious punishments as time goes on, but
So-
it hasn't been the case.
Recently I started I believe TMO I hit with a week for their 5th infraction. And I called it a volume of offenses. And so
But
that's
you suspended them Monday through Friday when no mobs spawn.
right, but here's the thing. I don't suspend people around schedules. I don't purposely suspend you to hit mobs. I don't purposely suspend you to avoid mobs. I sit down, I do the suspension, and that's it. The only reason I gave a couple days the first time to TMO, oh man, you guys aren't going to like this, but I'm going to straight up fire shots at your guild. The only reason that suspension was a Monday through Friday instead of a Friday through Friday is because when I put out the BDA suspension, you guys bailed on beta server. And then I had Rogan and Nilbog come to me and be like, did you, Sirken, seriously just suspend BDA because now they're logging off beta? And so then I had to go to other guilds. I went to Holocaust, I went to TMO, I went to Rampage. And I said, hey, nerds, I need a favor, please. Log on to beta. Do it for Nilbog. Doesn't matter what you think about me. It's not for me. I'm not a dev.
So BDA lightened TMO's suspension. You're
You
welcome.
could say that. You could absolutely say that. And as a reward for doing that, not even a reward. I didn't tell them I was doing it or that it was going to happen. I actually didn't. I was going to do all your suspensions at the same time. But because BDA logged out of beta and Nobog really needed it that night, I was like, okay, I won't do the rest of them. We'll let these nerds beta test, and then I'll suspend them. And because I'm not a piece of shit, my innards were like, you cannot, like, literally suspend them the moment they come off beta. That's shitty. And so I figured I'll let them, have their EverQuest on the weekend, and I'll just suspend them for the week. And then a few days later, or a week later or something, I ended up giving IB their 5th suspension as well. And I just did the same thing, Monday through Friday. Because it's what I did to TMO. And I figured at that point it would be really shitty for me to do a Friday to Friday.
We actually didn't log off beta because of the suspension. I didn't even know about it. It
I don't
wasn't
know what the
mentioned at
reason was.
time.
I don't know. That might
There
not be
was
true. I'll
somebody
admit
was
that.
repeatedly training and
I'll admit I
was
don't know what
causing
the reason
problems.
is. All I know is that I was asked if I just suspended BDA. I said yes. And they said that BDA was logging off beta.
Sure,
Now,
can
I wasn't
understand.
on beta, so I don't know. Maybe you guys were getting trained. Maybe there were problems. Maybe something happened on live that had to be dealt with. I don't know what the reason was. I'm just saying what I heard. And so that's the thing. But here's the thing. In my people can go to the raid discussion thing. They'll notice there's a lot less stickies because lots of guild members have asked me to if I could put all of it into one thread and not just everywhere. And so that's
good.
mostly what this is. The only difference, the only new things that people should be, I've never read this before, are the things about conceding mobs. One of the big problems I've heard from multiple guilds is someone messes up, they try to make it right by conceding a mob, and the other guild is like, no, fuck you, I want more. And so that's stupid. And so I lay out real clearly what should be conceded, and that if it is conceded, you can't refuse it. At the bottom, I hope I made a lot of people happy by telling them like what I'm thinking in terms of punishments for things, and so they know what to expect. Go
If a
ahead.
guild flattens your raid force by training them, then they can concede the mob, and you can't refuse that.
If they don't kill the mob, I mean, if they
Well, I
can't.
mean, what if they concede the next one? Do you have to accept that?
I don't know what the exact ruling is. I feel like if they kill it anyway, that it says you can't just concede the next one. I think it might be the next two, but whatever it says, that's what it is. And here's the thing: I have an open door policy. Like both of you guys have me on Skype. Other guild leaders and officers have me on Skype. I know a lot of people think it's shitty that I talk to people on Skype. Here's the thing. I used to join people's team speaks. I used to join people's events. somebody got my IP address, somebody DOS my IP address. I had to go through Comcast and get a whole new fucking modem and change my IP address, and I don't join voice chats anymore. Unless Rogan owns it, I don't join voice chat anymore. And so that's why I do all of my communicating on Skype. And I'm sorry if people don't like that, but I will never deal with that bullshit that I dealt with again. So that's why it's a thing.
I think there's a lot of difference when you're talking about conceding. If your guild accidentally trains or accidentally gets FTE when they shouldn't, and they instantly concede, that's what he's talking about.
There was an instance on a Sev where I believe BDA had an illegal FTE, and I was in the zone and I saw it happen. And you know what they did? They immediately conceded the mob, and the person who had the illegal FTE ran straight to his zone and cleared aggro. And I told myself, even if that gets petitioned, I'm not suspending BDA because they did the right thing. They made a mistake, and they did absolutely everything they could do to try and make it right. And I don't expect
tried
people
to learn from our mistakes, and we absolutely, despite what some people in our guild will tell you, have
I don't
made
expect
mistakes.
people to walk on eggshells. And I know sometimes guilds petition things and they're like, thing! If I was there and I see the situation in its entirety and not just the context that the Fraps creates, like I said, if somebody would have just petitioned to show a Fraps with, look, BDA got this illegal FTE and Fraps, you should get them.
Yeah, the only thing that makes that really hard is the guild that might have been perched to be in position to say, like it's a FFA where there's multiple guilds there, not just two.
Right. No, I know exactly what you're going to say, and you're right.
It can throw the balance of who would have got it out of the realm of.
You're 100% right.
And
TMO could have been going for it, but then BDA ninjas an illegal FTE. They concede it, but they don't concede it or drop it. Rather, they don't drop aggro until say Taken is ready, and then Taken gets the dragon like an assist. If something like that happens, you should petition that shit. Because if guilds work together to break the rules, I'll suspend all the guilds.
No, I wasn't talking about intentional, but yeah, I could see how that could happen.
Well, if it's an accident, whatever. But if it happens a couple times, if it's guilds that knowingly are working together, like here's the thing, Knix. I have people in high spots in all of your guilds in this chat, all of your guilds, and it's because I've caught them doing little things here and there. And instead of me making a flag on their account, and instead of me filling out threads on them being suspended, and instead of them explaining to their guild why they can't log in for a week, they just start trading me information. And if the information's ever incorrect, I ban them forever. So...
Oh, so you're saying that if guilds were in collusion on something and there was some kind of deal, like you would find out about it.
Like right now, it's not against the rules. But if it was against the rules for BDA, Taken, and Divinity to rotate a 2 lockout system, I would know about it because I have private messages and various pieces of correspondence between those 3 guilds talking about it.
Gotcha.
But that's not against the rules, and they're technically allowed to do that. However, I will say doing that, not the best argument for when we start talking about if we should bump guilds into Class C.
Which is why we're not doing it.
I know, which is why I certainly don't have a folder full of correspondence between your 3 guilds. That's my way of telling you that I do.
Yeah. There's just like you said earlier, there's just a huge difference on things that happen at raids, because I mean all of our guilds have a lot of turnover.
Hold on one second, Knix. I gotta fire shots at somebody.
Uh-oh.
Because there's a person in chat named Judo, and it sounds like karate, but it's spelled like racist money. Or racist baking goods, whatever.
I didn't even catch that.
But he says, you must be so proud, Sirken. You can extort information and not enforce the rules for everyone equally because they are in TMO or BDA. And I'll
Are
tell
we-
you this, Judo.
Are we on the favoritism level with TMO based off of his statement? That's awesome.
Yeah, that's where we are.
Guys,
I'm-
he's incoming.
I'm going to tell you a couple things, Mr. Judo, who fake karates but bakes with racism. I do not take any shame in deploying methods used by every goddamn legal department in the world. In the world. Fictional, real, or other. All of them have taken people who were guilty of crimes and turned them into informants for the betterment of the community, the neighborhood, the state, the country, or in our case, the server. We had a staff member once upon a time named Ambrosius, and God bless his soul, he had some real colorful ideas. But one of the things he was adamantly against was fraternizing with players, unless they were females, but it was for completely different reasons. And one of the things he never had was inside information. He never knew when things were going to happen before they happened. He never had people that trusted him or that he could trust inside the guilds. He was never, I guarantee you, if Ambrosius would have went to TMO, Rampage, or Holocaust and been like, hey, you guys want to do me a favor and log in on beta because I just suspended a guild and now I look like an asshole? They wouldn't have done that shit. And so, I mean, I have found RMTers because of these things. I have found people cheating and using third-party programs. I found out about an exploit on beta. I find one thing that doesn't really matter but just entertains the absolute hell out of me is I find all kinds of spies in all of your guilds. And one thing that I think is really curious, it's not really entertaining, but it's something worth mentioning, I think maybe about the whole state of Class C. I know various people that are in Class C, either in TMO or in Rampage, and they have other characters that are in Class R guilds. I know Taken is one of these guilds, I know Lord Bob is one of these guilds, and I know Azure Guard is one of these guilds that all have people from Rampage or TMO. And the funny thing is, the Class C guilds, like the mains are in Class C, those Class C guilds have no fucking idea that they have alts in these R guilds. And it's because when they just don't want to deal with the stress and the drama of have to be here at this time, log out with all these buffs, make sure these buffs don't fade, when you don't want to deal with all that, you just log into your Taken character or your Doljan character or your Azure Guard character, and things are fun and peaceful, and you don't have to deal with the dramas.
Yeah, I would agree a little bit with that, but it's more like you don't have to deal with the same people, and you know what? You don't really care if you know, it's kind of like you're in kindergarten. Oh goodness, did I say that? It's just easy.
I remember kindergarten.
It's not stressful.
I'll tell you what I remember from kindergarten real quick. I remember one time I told my teacher I felt sick, and she didn't believe me, and I threw up on her desk. And I remember every time after that, she used to grade our papers with either, like, whatever, like, we didn't have papers, but, you know, like, we'd color shit. And if you colored good, you'd get, like, a smiley face as your grade. But all of my grades, after I threw up on her desk, she gave me a frowny face. And it fucked me up with coloring for, like, 3 or 4 years. Like, I couldn't get over it until, like, 3rd or 4th grade. And I learned curse words and saw my first dirty magazine. And then smiley and frowny faces didn't matter anymore. But up until that point, it really fucked me up.
I have a question
What's your
about
question?
the beta server. I believe it's still down. Is it going to come back up, or are we done with that? Because last I know, we tested a ring war, and I sent in the fraps of the event, and the server went down. It hasn't been up since.
Yeah, no, that's actually a really good question. And so I'm going to pop into CSR chat here. I'm going to say...
Sounds like you broke it.
No, I don't break shit.
Well,
No,
not
it sounds
okay.
like BDA broke it.
Oh, yeah, BDA banned for breaking beta.
There you go.
I'll get on that in a month. Rogan Nobog. If there's not a reason for it to be down, that's not how you spell down. If there's not a reason for it to be down, can you please bring beta up when you have a moment? Love, Sirken. Done. I have put in an official request. And if any of you happen to be staff members, you'd be able to check and verify that. But it's in. What was that?
I was going to say, I have another question. I believe on beta, I've heard reports of the Sky Shrine key mob. He's either invulnerable or he doesn't drop a key currently. I'm wondering if that's going to go live with that thought that it's not going to be like a cock-blocking event where people just need to do the quest and, you know, they can all get through just fine. Or if it's going to be like a permacamp type thing where people stand in line and guilds just dole out to their members.
Alright, so I can tell you, first of all, I haven't seen legit classic Bellius since 2001. And so I don't remember how it was back then. I mean, I think I do, but it was 15 years ago. So I don't. That said, however it was in Classic, they'll probably try to do it as close to that as possible. I don't know if you were here when Kunark launched, but I know for a brief period of time, certain things just were locked down.
Gotcha.
The Locket of Escape was permacamped. The Necklace of Superiority was... There were nerds camping the Circlet of Shadow because they're like, oh my god, it gets nerfed with Velius. They had no idea they were going to get 4 years of Kunark.
I'm sure there are more Circlets of Shadow on this server now than there are actual characters created.
When Kunark first came out, there were guilds talking about locking that down until Velius and then like cornering the market on the pre-nerf COS.
And then they got bored.
Well, then it turned out they realized it was not going to be a classic timeline.
Oh. I mean, camp it for 4 years. It's fine.
Yeah, no, like...
That's one hell of a lockdown.
I think they went real hard in the paint for like a month or two, but it wasn't because of the Circlet. It's because the Locket of Escape was right in it, like the same room almost, like one area on the right. If you're standing up on like the porch thing, the area on the right has the Circlet, and then the area on the porch has the Locket of Escape. And so really they were there for the Locket. But I was a Necro and I didn't give a shit about the Locket because I can bind myself. I needed a Circlet. But
I mean, at least that shows hope for the people that are thinking that, well, although it might not, but things being super locked in Velius. Theoretically, people might have learned from Kunark because Velius on Blue is going to be around for forever.
A+. A couple things. I thought I saw there were...
I have questions for you if you want them.
I'm looking for quick ones. If you have quick
why
ones.
has there not been a suspension on a guild that's longer than a week?
Because it would kill a guild, and if I'm gonna kill a guild, I'm just gonna disband it. I'm not gonna pussyfoot around and hide behind a 2-week suspension or a 3-week suspension.
And I think there's a lot of unintentional stuff that goes on. I mean, like the stuff that, like we got suspended for stalling a mob. That wasn't intentional. We didn't set out and go, hey, we're gonna tank this with 2 people or 3 people. We're not doing, you know, maybe the people that got ran up were running up, got trained, or, you know, there's things happen and it's not intentional.
Well, there's one situation, now that she brought it up, that I feel I should bring up. You mentioned on a Draco that we stalled, but you weren't going to do anything about it. I just wanted to mention that the person that was pulling Draco got feared, and that's why it took, you know, like 15 seconds longer to get to camp, and that's all that happened. It wasn't a stall. So I'm wondering, in a situation like that, how can we clear our name and not get suspended from like the next 2 Dracos or whatever, where it was, you know, on our end, clearly not a stall.
Have a person running fraps.
Yeah, the polar running fraps is
sucks.
probably a really good idea.
It sucks.
It sucks
And I hate
balls.
saying that. I hate that I have to say that to people. But like that's just where it is.
That's
Like-
okay. I'm running fraps right now, even though it's going to end up on 2 different formats.
Like I would legitimately have one person whose sole purpose is running fraps, and if there's a train, he's there to focus on the train, the trainer, and not because a lot of times people are like, "Well, I was running fraps," but it's like, "All right, nerd, but you're running fraps of you killing a mob. It doesn't show anyone bringing shit into camp. It just shows the things in camp and you dying." And that doesn't help me. Like a lot of guilds have gotten better with it over time, but some of the guilds that don't deal with petition quests as often, they're not. Your fraps, like whoever's frapsing, you can't just run fraps. You need to actually catch what's happening with fraps, and part of that's because I need to try and make the best decision I can make, but also because I get so many petitions that I'm not going to deal with them unless you deliver me a smoking gun. And that's partly because I value my time, and also because I would really like to encourage you nerds to work together wherever possible.
Yeah. See, if you would have, did you guys, for example, kill that Draco?
Yes, we
After
did.
he trained. Okay. So next time, if Sirken, if what I'm understanding is right, he would rather have you just concede it rather than go ahead and kill it. And
If
by
we got
conceding,
feared, like we would I see. I would never consider conceding because I got feared. I wouldn't think that would be a thing. I don't. I think it was just Rampage competing with us at the time, and I don't believe
If
they
you would have
petitioned.
had fraps showing that you got feared or any way to prove at all that you got feared, I would have overturned my decision. If that's what I suspended you guys for.
Okay.
Like, I know
So-
that I'm going to make mistakes sometimes. And if you come up with something that shows me I made a mistake or I messed up, I will absolutely overturn my stuff and say I messed up. And yeah, and that's it. So, I mean, definitely it's worth it to have somebody running fraps because you can bet most times the other guild is.
I mean, it's something for your necros to do, because otherwise they're just pressing the Twitch
Necros are very important, integral parts of every guild and every raid. Do not belittle them like that.
yeah, I think if you can bind sight on the mob, I think that's probably the best fraps that you can get.
Hold on. If any of you play a Necro, I'm going to say some stuff real quick. Go to North Freeport before every raid. Go to North Freeport, go to the bank, go to the merchant in the bank. Buy like 4 stacks of dots. If you have 2 cleric friends, give 2 stacks to each. If you got 4 cleric friends, give 1 stack to each. But let me tell you something, Necros. This will get you rezzed very early before they're supposed to even res Necros. This will get you all the love in the world from clerics. And realistically, clerics should be your best friends in the world.
I love Necros. On Red, we have the best Necros.
No, you
DMF
don't.
is the best buff in the game on Red.
Oh,
and
yeah,
you
that's
absolutely
true.
need to have it in all situations.
When I played on P Daddy Died, I played a Necro. And every time before any raid, I would go to Freeport and I would buy 2 to 4 stacks of dots. And depending on which clerics were there, I would dump all of my dots on them except for 1 stack that I'd keep for myself. And my clerics loved me. And
You're
well,
not going
my
to hear an argument from Anichek either, since he mains a Necro as well.
yeah, no,
And he's badass.
my guild chat would be all like, only res clerics and bards and enchanters. And then I'd get a tell like, res incoming, don't tell anyone. And I'd be like, I love you because I brought you dots and now you're resing me. And
Yeah,
that's
and
that's how it
that
should
was the
be.
days before epics too,
Mm-hmm.
when that
I
really meant
quit.
something.
Epics weren't even a game when I quit played.
Yeah.
There was no
So
VP, there was no
900
epics.
mana.
Yeah, it was a much. Let me tell you something. When I played here, P99 was much different. Much different. Back in 2010, 2011, the raid scene was nothing like it is now. The shit you guys do, I would have never been willing to do. Never in a million years.
Hmm.
And let me tell you something. As a player, I had above 85% raid attendance. Like, I made raids. That wasn't the problem. It's just all the other bullshit that is going on in the raid scene is stupid, and it takes the fun out of the game. Competing is fun. Dealing with all the drama and the bullshit that happens during that is not fun.
Sirken, I got a question for you.
What's up?
And it's back on the whole petition things, but do you consistently try to approach both sides of the argument before posting a suspension, or do you take the initial evidence and then make your decision? And if a suspension's handed out at that point, then you have to try and recover if you're the guild who got suspended.
Okay, so I know
I'm asking, and it's kind of a two-part question, because the next step would be, if you don't follow that process, have you thought about doing that and even using the petition forum as a way that you could, have both sides of the party submit the stuff before anything goes live out into public for a suspension?
I do a lot of things on my own schedule. If there are people around, like the other night when I was doing raid suspensions, if I had people on Skype, I shot them messages telling them it was going to happen and to check the raid suspension form after I posted it, and I gave them a link to the thread. For indignation, I didn't have them on Skype, and so I hopped in their guild to tell them. Before I get to that point, though, if I have questions or if something isn't 100% clear in what is being presented in the petition, or at least what I think is 100% clear at the time, I generally won't go to players because I don't trust players. If there is something I'm not sure of, or if there are instances like if TMO and Rampage, I notice, each have the same amount of petitions against each other, I will try to encourage them to work together. I think it's pathetic that real-life countries who are at war with each other and real-life killing people have better lines of communication with each other than competing guilds on P99. I think that's really kind of fucked up in its own way. And so I try to encourage some level of diplomacy, even between enemies. And I know that I chit-chat more with the rule lawyers of the Class C guilds, and I think that is partly because I've just been dealing with disputes from TMO and IB and Forceful Entry and Rampage for so long that I've had to talk to them so many times that we just feel comfortable talking to each other at this point. I know, Anichek, you have me on Skype, but we generally don't chit-chat too often on it.
I still don't know if you're over me calling you a liar a long time ago, so I'm
I don't hold grudges. I mean, I might be mad in the moment, but if I don't do anything like right then and there, you're fine.
You didn't even do it. Darren pulled the trigger on kicking me out of that chat.
Oh, well, I will say, as staff members, we're generally real protective of other staff members. Like, I'll let people get away with talking shit about me, but if I see people say a bad word about any of the guides, me, a Rogan, Nobog, a Dev, like, I'll be on their ass so quickly.
So have you put thought into, instead of, I hate using the word assume, but instead of looking at only one side of the argument, potentially bringing the other side in before that decision is made, before anything goes public? Because if you decide to wash it out as nothing, there's really no sense in bringing it out to the public.
Well, yeah, if I go to TMO and Rampage, for example, and tell them, like, you each have 3 things against each other, either work that shit out yourself or I'm going to do my decision in 24 hours.
What if one guild thinks that what the other guild has is really dumb stuff that shouldn't even been petitioned?
Then you say we're going to let Sirken handle it. And then you roll the dice that it's going to go in your favor. But there is no guarantees that I will rule in anyone's favor. I think I've proved that time and time again. And I know, like, one thing I feel real good about is I've had all of your guilds real pissed off at me. I've had BDA pissed at me. I've had TMO pissed at me. I know Rampage has been pissed at me. I know Indignation's probably not real happy with me right now. I know A-Team was not thrilled when I told them they'd kill Trakanon, and then Rogan suspended them for doing so.
I feel that's inaccurate. I don't think BDA's ever been mad.
Oh, I'm sure I've pissed a few of you guys off here and there.
Nope.
Well, you know what? Then that's great, because I get the feeling that for the most part, I'm not high on the BDA fan list. But at least I don't get evil messages from you guys like I do from another guild. So
Once you fall off the BDA wagon, they hate you for a long time.
that's what
Yeah,
it
it's
sounds like.
the real Chess said in that video. You dead
All right,
know.
pals, we have a
Dude,
decision to
yeah.
make. We have an absolute... First of all, let me just say, that video is amazing. And whoever was behind making that video, I want you to know that I tip my hat to you. I give you Sirken points. And you will forever have a special place in my heart, because the amount of entertainment that gave me the first time I saw it has not been matched. But on that note, we have to decide pretty quickly. Do you want to keep talking, or do you want to wrap it up?
Sirken.
We don't even have time for that question. That's how
Okay.
close we are.
That's how close.
That's how close we are. You guys want to go overtime, or do you want
About
to
a
call
really,
tonight?
really old question.
Give me the really old question while they think about it.
How is it okay for folks to have mains in Class C and ults in Class R? Doesn't that generate extra raid gear and stuff crossing the class barrier?
If those characters in Class R aren't being funneled to Class C, if those loots aren't being funneled to Class C, if those loots stay in Class R, I don't give a shit. People are allowed to play any play styles they want, be it one play style or multiple play styles. And as long as a Class C guild, and I've said this multiple times, as long as a Class C guild is not using anything to funnel Class R pixels into Class C guilds, or just into Class C period, then I don't care what they do. I'm not
Sounds
gonna
undesirable anyway.
I'm not gonna tell some. Yeah, I mean, what? Well, I mean, I could be getting VP loots on this character, but I'm gonna stay in Azor Guard. I mean, that's not beneficial for them. Some people just don't always like all the bullshit that comes with raiding all the time, and they only have a couple hours. They just want to relax and play EverQuest and be a casual scrub for a night. And so I'm not gonna tell them they can't. That said, Anichek, say goodbye.
Yes, sir.
Tell these people things about you.
Oh, so we're quitting?
Well, I mean, we can go overtime, but either way, for this video, we have to say goodbye.
Okay.
Okay, goodbye, everybody. This wasn't terrible, regardless of what my glorious dear leader says. And I'm okay with overtime if you want to do it.
A+. Troubledour, and if you're feeling frisky, Rudith on red. Say goodbye to these people.
Chest was very excited to have us here.
You said
And
his name. That's
He
twice.
couldn't wait. He couldn't wait until we got on here to
I'm
talk.
pretty sure if you say his
Goodbye
name again,
from
he'll appear.
BDA. If you haven't tried Red, I would try it out. You wear somewhat different items. You keep somewhat different things in your bags. It's actually kind of like a new game. That's what it felt like to me when I started over there. Check out my guild, EmpireR99.com, BrigandTheArth.net.
I got pee so bad.
Goodbye.
And what's the Empire link? I didn't hear that. If you said, I'm sorry. Did you say it? Did you not say it?
I did say it. I'll say it again. It's EmpireR99.com. You can find Red People's streams on there. Submit your streams if you stream Red to Gong Show, and he'll put it on our website.
A+, or for Red Server, Pros. Knix!
Hello.
Nope, wrong word. We're saying goodbye.
Okay. Goodbye, everybody.
A+, does TMO have a website if people want to apply to a Class C guild that they can go to?
Right now, we don't have the
Right
best
now, not the
artwork
best time.
on our website. So yeah.
Man, I don't know, that front page is worth looking at.
If you like MS Paint Art, tmoguild.org. It's pretty lousy at the moment. Uberbandit,
Yeah.
say goodbye to these people.
Bye, people. I'll look forward to seeing you in the high possibility of overtime.
Twitch.tv/Uberbandit22. I almost said me anyway. Oh, nerds. I'm putting you on hold. We'll be back. Boop. So we're going to be back. We're probably going to do overtime. I got to pee so bad, so you guys are going to have to wait. Thanks for watching. Hit the follow button. I feel like I should rattle off a thing. I was going to rattle off a thing. Now I'm pushing buttons on a cell phone because on things. Ritz McCracker, Texas, Javento BDA, Lucky Hound, Afflicted, Vels BDA, Merchant of Quanos, Even Heels, and Just Suggin 77, Baven 321, Ultraviolet, Sarcasm 77. Thank you, nerds, all for hitting the follow button. I really do appreciate that. YouTube.com/SirkenP99. Go there. It's got all the old things, the other things, new things, things that haven't even happened yet. And sometimes it has things of my dog. Hit the follow button. There's going to be a brief intermission. And then we're probably going to be back. And there's going to be more words. Boop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop. I'm looking for things. And I found